Hello YouTube, Curly here. Today I'm going to do a cooking video. I'm going to show you how I do my tomato sauce or gravy. Some people call it sauce, some people call it gravy, whatever, comes out great. This recipe takes a little bit of time, to prepare and cook, so let's get it on. Alright, so the first thing I do is I get my salt, pepper, and sugar. That's right, I put sugar in it. It helps take the bitterness away and makes the sauce taste really good. Not too sweet, but it just cuts down the bitter a little bit. So I take a tablespoon of salt, a tablespoon of sugar, and a teaspoon of fresh ground pepper. So let's get that going. Alright, so put that all in there and just mix her up. That's step one. So what I do is my rule of thumb is I'll take 1 can of paste, which is 6 ounces, and I'll put 2 cans of tomatoes, which is 28.2 ounces per paste. And this recipe right now, what I'm doing is 2 paste and 4 cans. Now, with every can, I like to put a cup of wine, so it'll be 2 cups of wine. So let's do that. We'll just open this up. Also, what I like to do is I like to cut both sides. Kind of makes it a little easier coming out. For every can of paste, I put in a cup of wine. I use Merlot. You can use anything, anything you want. I like the dark red wine. Never used port. I guess you could. And I'll do that another time. So the next thing we're going to do is take the celery. We're going to cut it up into 1/4-inch pieces. In this recipe I use either 2 or 3 stalks. If they're small like these, I'll use 3. And if they're, the big large ones, 2 is probably good enough. Small little pieces. Size I don't think really matters as long as it's consistent. Like I cut them in quarters. Like you do this. Just cut those in half and rock on. Alright, so I'm going to take 2 carrots to this recipe. Basically you just peel them, cut the ends off. But what I do different is I grate it. So. So now we're going to take 4 cloves of garlic. I'm going to take a little bit of olive oil. I'm going to put it in a cup. Like the nice hen glasses. Look at them hen glasses. Alright, put a little bit in there. A couple tablespoons probably. And then we're just going to mince these up. Put them in there. I'll cut up and into the oil. mix it up, smash it up. I'm going to put that aside. Alright, so we got the last leg of the mirepoix is the onion. Carrots, celery, and then the onion. I don't like cutting the onion open until I really need it. Onions are weird. If you take this onion and cut it in half, put it in your bedroom when you've got a cold, it'll suck up all the nasties in the air and drag it into that onion. It helps from, so no other people will get sick. Usually when you go into a hot weenie joint and you see the onions sitting there for a long, long time, you're pretty much eating somebody else's germs because the onion's going to suck it up. And then you're going to catch a cold or whatever. So that's why I don't do it here. It's the last thing, right to the pot when you cut it. Alright, so it's time for the sausage. You can use any kind of sausage you like to eat. I use the sweet Italian. You can put in the spicy hot. You can use any kind. I mean, if you make deer sausage, you could use that, as long as there's enough fat in it. Going to cut them up into 1-inch pieces. And then we're going to add a little bit of oil to the pot. I use high temp oil for the initial start. I throw it into a 18-quart pot. And we start rocking and rolling. Alright, so I'm going to put a couple, 1 or 2, somewhere around that neighborhood, oil. And you're going to want to put it on medium heat. And when that gets hot. Alright, oil's up, so I'm going to put the sausage in. Thank you, Ragnar. We're just going to cook these up until they're nice. One thing, every time I put something into this recipe, I like to put a little bit of the salt, pepper, and sugar mixture. Kind of like a layer thing, every time I put something in. Let that cook for a minute. Not done yet, but man, this smells good. Alright, so that's pretty much done. That's where I like to keep it. And I'm just going to take this off and I'm going to put them on that plate. And then we're going to carry on. Alright, so this is where we go with the onion. We're ready to go straight from cut to pot. Get them babies nice and brown. Don't drain the fat. Use the fat from your sausage. This isn't a low-calorie dinner. This is real deal. Scrub all that stuff off the bottom. your onions will accept it. Remember the rule of thumb. Always add a little bit of salt and pepper and sugar every time you add something in. I want them brown, but I don't want them blazing. Alright, so once the onions kind of look like that, it's just, you know, a little browny, but you're going to get that when you pick up all the stuff from the bottom. We're going to go ahead and add our celery. Now, always remember, every time you add something, give it a little bit of loving, and then mix it in. Let that go for a couple. Alright, so now this is what the celery and the onion mixture looks like. If you notice, the celery has soaked up a lot of the fat. That's when you're going to want to add your carrots. It's looking really good. Once you see the beta carotene coming out of your carrots and it's starting to bleed a little bit, that's when we're going to start adding paste. With the wine. It's actually looking really, really good. I'm going to let that steam for a minute. Alright, so now that, see how the beta carotene is kind of cooked out a little bit? You can start to see that. Alright, we're going to add the paste. Kind of doing like a two-part series. And I'll add a little bit here and there. And then I'll add a little bit of this, which is the garlic and oil. Remove cheese. Parmesan. And we're just going to get this all kind of mixed in. Remember this, always, every time you add something, add a little bit of the spice. See, now that's a good consistency right there. It's nice and pasty. It's great. That's awesome. Now we're going to add a little bit of the tomatoes. Don't want to burn that stuff. Cheese burns. That's good. Rule of thumb. We're going to bring this back up to heat. We've got to keep, every time we add something, we've got to maintain temperature. So we're going to bring this back up to heat. Could take a second. Alright, it's starting to come up. Don't let it burn. You can add whatever tomatoes you want. Again, we got crushed tomatoes, and we have, the first can was diced. You can put in, you know, whatever you want. We want to maintain heat though, so we're gonna have to sit here again, wait for that to come up to heat, and then we'll just keep adding. Remember, rule of thumb though, every time you add, you must give it some loving. Alright, so we're back up to heat. What I usually do is I rinse out the cans, and about a quarter of a cup of can, and I pour that in. So that brings me down in temperature. I had to kick it on high. We have to maintain heat. It was getting too low. Again, rule of thumb. I still got lots more to go into this. Basically, that's half the recipe right there. Alright, we're back to heat. Other half of the paste, wine mixture. Get every good drop. That all goes in. Again, a little bit of loving. Alright, then the last two cans. And a little bit of salt, sugar, pepper. And I'm going to rinse out those cans to a quarter cup to a can, you know, quarter a can, and put that in. And bring it back up to a boil again. Alright, I'm going to put the rest of the garlic and oil in there. Mix that in. I'm thinking it's going to need a little bit more cheese. So I'm just going to give it a little bit until it warms up. Let that sink in. I don't know what that is. That's probably a tablespoon. Maybe. Probably, whatever. Just to cover it until it gets warm. I mean, you can always taste this. Right now we're just going to get some heat in there. Alright, so back up the heat again. It's looking really good. And what I'm going to do now is we're going to add the sausage back in. Because that's where they belong. They belong back home. Alright, so basically that's my sauce. That's how I cook it. That's how I put it together. It comes out like this. It's nice and thick and chewy. But it takes a long time to cook. This is going to cook now for a good 5 to 6 hours. but it's not going to be cranked. It's going to be on a low simmer. Never boil it, because then your cheese gets burnt and it tastes funny, and you don't want that. So you can add meatballs to this if you want to, like the way I added my sausage back into it. That's fine too. Queen Hotsy Totsy here, she made her own meatballs, and we're going to throw them in. So maybe there'll be a video on these sometime, but as far as the sauce is concerned, this is it. Alright, so that's my sauce on gravy. It's a pretty cool meal to make. You can make a lot of different things with it. You know, you can make a pizza, lasagnas. You know, on those nights when you come home late and you want to make a quick meal, you could just grab the sauce and boil some pasta, and you got a quick half-hour meal. The whole family loves it. So you might notice I don't use any spices like oregano or basil. I'm allergic to it, so I can't use these spices. So I developed this recipe using just, you know, what you saw, the salt, pepper, and sugar, and I don't blow up. So I hope you liked it. Give it a try. If you liked it, you know, hit the like button. If you like it that much, you know, please subscribe. Got any comments? Leave a comment down below. I'll answer it. So until next time, sees ya.